but it still looks like I'm like filming from an angle, but oh well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, Jesus, you go right to recording people. All right, we are back with another edition of Belly Up, Sound Off. I'm your host, Mike Brown. I've got the normal noob with me, Kev. We cut out Jared this week. We got two new faces. We got Joe and Sarah. Both, I appreciate you guys being a part of this. This is your guys' first time jumping on. Really nice to get some new faces on here. Like I said, cut out Jared is always a blessing in disguise. So appreciate you guys being a part of the show tonight. We actually, like we were just talking about a few minutes ago, got a few topics here. We usually kind of keep it light, again, because Jared's usually on the show. So we might be able to fly through these pretty good. So we'll just get right into it. This is kind of my topic. None of them came to me and actually said, will Antonio Brown or Dez Bryant even have any fantasy relevance? I just kind of threw that out there. But that's where we'll start today. Antonio Brown, Dez Bryant, both in the league this week. Is there any chance that either of these guys have any kind of fantasy football relevance? Starting, Kevin, I'll start with you. That way, you're the normal here. I'll start with you so they can think of their answer here.
I think Antonio Brown's going to have some relevance in fantasy, definitely while Chris Godwin's out with a fractured finger. But I think Antonio Brown will be very relevant in fantasy football for about 5 weeks. Then he's going to go off the deep end again and get cut. I think on the other side, I think Dez Bryant will also be not as an immediate impact because he was signed to the practice squad. But I think eventually they're gonna sign him up after a few weeks. Maybe a bad game or a slow offensive game at the very least. And fantasy ends before the playoffs, so Dez doesn't have time to drop a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, there you go. Joe, we'll jump into you. What do you got anything for these guys going forward to finish out the season?
I don't really think Antonio Brown's going to be able to do much. Chris Godwin is out with his fractured finger, but you look at what him and Gronkowski were in New England, and Gronkowski's not the same. He's got so many other targets. I feel like there's no real room for him, especially once Chris Godwin comes back. He's probably not going to get a lot of those reps. If anything, he's going to be that one guy that gets left open because they're doubling somebody else.
There you go. And I don't know why it's just like going through this. This is usual how things go. But when I was introducing everybody, I called her Sarah. It's not Sarah. I don't know why I even said that. I know I've talked to her several times, at least through the group chat. So Shannon, sorry about that. Anyways, new to the show. That's what happens. We just make up names. I know you've been a part of the fantasy group now, releasing some articles and stuff like that. I believe you got Michael Thomas. I think, do you have Godwin too? I think you've made comments about they're going to ride the pine for you until you figure out what's going on.
I was going to say, I do have Godwin. I have not checked the app in the last few days, so I did not know he had a broken finger. I appreciate that bit of advice before I set my lineup tomorrow. But I think in terms of fantasy relevancy, I don't think Dez Bryant is going to have much relevancy. The Ravens have enough offensive weapons right now that he's not worth picking up. But in terms of Antonio Brown, I think not necessarily that he's going to be relevant enough to pick up, but he's going to do damage to the other wide receivers on there. It's like when you have the Rams, when they had Brandon Cook, there were so many offensive weapons that none of them were reliable enough to start, things like that. I think they're going to get into that situation the more that the Bucs pile on different offensive options. So
I do agree. I'm with you all. I think Antonio Brown probably has the most upside. Unfortunately, I'm holding out hope that Dez does because he's the only one that I could snag in my piss poor St. Jude's Bowl belly up St. Jude's Bowl league that I am 2-4 or whatever 2-5 in right now. So I'm literally starting in that league because of injuries. Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore. Now I picked up Dez Bryant. I'm just throwing it back to like 10 years ago when these guys were all like studs and just hoping that there's any kind of flash of relevancy. So yes, I agree. AB hoping Dez Bryant can kind of give me a little hope here, but Antonio I think does have all the tangibles. I mean, obviously so did Dez. Antonio played slightly with Tommy B. And that's kind of a segue here. We'll get into our next topic here. We'll skip one, but we'll go right into New England. Since Tom Brady has left, I believe Kevin wrote an article about New England being okay. This was about 1 week in. Since then, where are we at, Kevin? New England. I mean, what's going on with them, and where do they go from here?
So I was actually talking about this with Shannon earlier. My belief is blow it up. Stephon Gilmore's house is on the market. He's 30. He's not playing well. Trade him. Cam Newton not playing well. Trade him. I don't think it's all on Cam Newton, but trade him. Trade Julian Edelman. Keep the line. Trade Dante Hightower and Patrick Chung, even though they opted out. If you can trade them, trade them. Build young again. And because like Mike said, I did write something about how the show was back on. Cam Newton's a Patriot. I changed my tune, and I wrote something actually just last week, early this week, about how it's not all on Cam Newton, but he's not playing well. It's the offensive line is garbage. They've had so last year in terms of pass protection, they were 9th, and then this year they're 23rd in giving up an adjusted sack rate of 7.6%. And then the whole thing was Tom Brady couldn't save the Patriots because he's also now behind the 5th best passing offensive line in the country, giving up 3.9% adjusted sack rate. The weapons are garbage. Their catch rates are all below 70 besides Jacoby Myers, who's seen 7 passes all year. Trade Sony Michel just because he's hot garbage and I hate him. And then, draft Jalen Waddle, Mac Jones, and Najee Harris in the first 3 rounds. Not necessarily that order, but draft those 3 guys and you'll be good.
So there's no bias there. But Shannon, I know you are you're close to Kevin as far as proximity, actually in real life now. So are you a Pats through and through? Are you a fan? What's your take on the where they go from now?
Yeah, so I'm actually visiting Massachusetts right now, so it's all in my face seeing how everybody's reacting to it. And I disagree. I don't think that they need to blow everything up. I think that they desperately need more offensive weapons. I don't know who they're going to trade to get that. I don't know who's on the market. I know Kevin dreams that we get Julio Jones. I don't know that is ever going to happen, but that's what he wants. Our tight ends are not nameable. No one knows who they are. There's not much for Cam to work with right now. Like, yeah, he was throwing like shit the other day, but there's no one to throw to besides Jacoby Myers and Julian Edelman, and Julian Edelman's been playing like shit all year. So I don't know that restarting is the issue. I think our defense, when not opted out from COVID, is still one of the best in the league. But it's not, you can't gauge that right now because half of them said they weren't going to play because of COVID. So
I would like to have a quick rebuttal here because I'm not saying, yes, Cam Newton had a bad game. He's had a bad couple games. I'm not saying he's the issue. I'm not saying that I want to see them tank for Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones or Trey Lance. But that's the reality. They don't have anything worth trading on the offensive side of the ball. Cam Newton hasn't played well. He's coming off an injury. Julian Edelman's old. Damiere Byrd's look good in flashes. N'Keal Harry's slow, can't catch, can't run routes. Their only trade assets are on the defensive side of the ball, and the defense isn't playing well. So it's time to let some of these guys go.
So hold on. Before we get to Joe here, you have no faith in Stidham?
No. I did earlier. I did before. Now I don't. Are you kidding me? He's thrown...
Probably because he's an Auburn boy and Kevin won't support anyone that's not from Alabama.
I designed the Studham shirt after Brian Hoyer had to play a game. I was like, I'm all in on Stidham. But no, he's... I think I saw something. If his next 10 passes are all interceptions, or his next 3 passes, if he throws 3 passes and they're interceptions, his passer rating goes up. He's been bad. And it's not just on the weapons in the line with him. With Cam, I think it is. But with Jarrett Stidham, this goes back to last year when they had some more weapons in the preseason. And first NFL pass was a pick 6. He's not a reliable quarterback.
Man, you're a tough critic, but giving the guy 35 snaps or something like that. But either way, Joe, what's your take in what's going on in New England? One over here is saying blowing it up, the other one saying no, we need to we get some more weapons. Essentially, where are you at?
I'm gonna agree with Shannon here. I mean, I'm a New England fan, so
Oh,
it's obviously
Jesus, what
tough.
the?
It's tough to see what's going on, but I don't think we need to blow it up. I think we just need to retool. Um, the defense is still really good. Dante Hightower's not playing, obviously, so that's gonna hurt us a little bit. I went into this season knowing that it's not gonna be a telltale season, and that's why it kind of puzzled me as to why Cam Newton only signed a 1-year deal because I'm not judging them on this season because this season has a lot of wrenches thrown in it, and that's not necessarily their fault. And I know everybody has that, but a generational player like Tom Brady leaving, and then on top of that, another generational player like Gronkowski leaving, and then all of these players opting out because of COVID. It's kind of a lot to handle in such a short amount of time before the season started. And then on top of that, you have these rookies who don't really know the system all that well. So they're going to take time to get used to it. So it's going to take time for people to start clicking. And that's why I think we just need a retool. We need some more veteran leadership. Maybe if Edelman's on his way out, he's on his way out. He can take more of a coach player role. I don't know if that's really big in football. I know it's something in basketball. Um, but yeah, I don't think we need to blow it up.
I mean, yeah, but the defense is good. I think they're playing poorly. I think Stephon Gilmore is starting the end, but it's tough to say because a lot of defensive guys opt out. Not that many offensive guys opted out, specifically skill position guys. All their draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball, really, besides Devin Asiasi and Hunter, the tight end out of Virginia Tech. And so you have those two guys. Hunter's on the practice squad. Asiasi hasn't played. Tight ends are bad. There's nothing to give up, though, because the offense is so bad, except on the defensive side of the ball. So we don't have enough to retool. We need to blow it up. And Cam Newton signed a 1-year deal because the plan was for this to be a classic Belichick reclamation project. Cam Newton would come in, light it up, go sign for a bunch of money somewhere else. And he's not going to do that, so he might take less money to stay here. I don't necessarily want him to. I don't love the current iteration of this team without Tom Brady. We're getting older. If Tom Brady was still here, I'd say keep it, try to retool, but it's too far gone at this point.
I mean, we haven't had offensive weapons for years. We've just relied on Tom Brady to carry it, and it worked for a while, and then it stopped working. But I don't think that.
And now Tom's gone. You don't have him to carry
Yes,
you. You're not going to get Tom. You're not going to get Tom Brady to carry the offense ever again. So get rid of them. Get rid of the guys who were underperforming, aka all their offensive skill positions.
Absolutely. I know this conversation go on now that I'm surrounded by all Pats fans, which I did not know. So we'll quickly move on to the next one. But before we do, I just want to say this episode of Sound Off is actually sponsored by Hoff and Pepper, our newest sponsor here. Really, really great group. There we go. We got the Hoff Pepper, the Hoff himself right there. But what they are is they're handcrafted with farm fresh jalapenos and habaneros. Hoff's original sauce has gone on to win numerous awards and gain international recognition. Hoff and Pepper always strives to create sauces and seasonings that enhance flavors with balanced heat profiles. Every one of their handmade products is manufactured in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and naturally vegan and gluten-free. Very cool that we got to work with these guys. Here's a little sample here of throw that up there. They got all their blends on the back. They were gracious enough to send us some. Got some back here. I believe this Friday, our guest last week, Ryan from No Credentials Required. I believe tomorrow, which is no wait, I don't even know.
2 days
are messed up. Yes, this Friday, Ryan is doing a taste testing live of the Smoking Ghost. I believe, and he's doing it with one of the staff members on his show. So we'll make sure that we have that posted, and also going forward, for anybody that's watching this episode, next week, tune in, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As you obviously like and subscribe to our channel now, whether it's now, tomorrow, next week, whatever. But next episode, make sure you like it. All the likes we're gonna tally up. We're gonna throw you guys in a contest and get you guys some sauce. We'll send you guys some sauce. So check that out. Like I said, like, subscribe. The next episode that we do, we will have more on here. All those likes in that episode, we'll throw them in a box here or whatever hat, whatever, tally them up, and we'll pull a winner, and we'll get you guys some sauce. So
Mm-hmm. So if you don't got no sauce, then you're lost. Mm-hmm. But you can also get lost in the sauce.
So appreciate that for Hoff and Pepper to be a part of the show. Anyways, moving on. That's my plug. There we go. Where do we want to go? We want to go. Yeah, I know. I try. It's all from the cusp. It's all winging it. There's no pre-recording here. We'll throw in. We're making some good time. 76ers today made some moves. Houston sounds like they're naming a head coach. I'm sure from, I believe, looking, or at least most of you, I don't know if you guys are actually 76ers fans, or I know a lot of you guys are up on the probably basketball more so than me. 76ers, Shannon, we'll go to you. 76ers, Houston. I guess my take more so on 76ers. What are you thinking? They're getting actually Houston's original, what is it, their GM or whatever, Morley's coming over, or however they're doing it with Brand and all those guys. Is this what a team like the 76ers needs? Are you up to speed on that? I know I kind of threw it in there. I know you follow all sports, but what do you think about this?
Yeah, so I actually know a lot of my friends are Sixers fans, so I have a particular disdain for them. And I'm not concerned about who they put in that role as much as I am what they do when they get in the role. The Sixers right now, the process failed. We have to accept that one. So what are they going to do with Embiid? What are they going to do with Simmons? What are they going to do? Doc Rivers isn't good for development, and most of the roster besides those two needs development. So what are they going to do with the rest of the roster? You can't leave it. Firing Brett Brown was the least of their problems. So I want to see what Morey can do to make some changes and show that they're actually trying to get past the first round of the playoffs and be a competitive team, because I don't think they are that right now. And I don't think that keeping both Embiid and Simmons is productive. I'd like to see someone go in and actually make a productive change, but it's going to be really controversial no matter what they do.
So, Joe, I saw you in chat talking to some of the guys, and speaking of Embiid and Simmons, I think that's been the thing every year. Do we break these guys up? They can't play well together. I don't know if you mentioned it or somebody mentioned it, maybe even Parker. What do you think there is potential that Embiid could be moved or somehow end up with ties with Harden? Do you think there's any kind of, I know it was just kind of hearsay there. I mean, they're just talking, obviously, nothing's going on. But anything like that, could you see Simmons and Embiid finally be broken up?
I mean, I believe that it might be time. I'm not really sure how long they've been together. I know it's been a little while. But it's now a point of when one's hurt, the other one's healthy, and then vice versa. And then on top of that, you have Simmons, who can't hit a 3-point shot consistently. They're just relying on him too much right now. Like he's good at pretty much everything else. But right now they need him to be a 3-point shooter, and they need him to do it consistently. And he's just not able to do that. I don't know. Like you said, Doc Rivers is not a developmental coach. He said that all the way back when he was in Boston. You know what you're getting with Doc Rivers as a coach. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, Shannon, about what they do with the rest of the roster. Sam Cassell, I believe, just joined his coaching staff also today. I think that was announced a little earlier. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings. And as for Embiid maybe going with Harden, I think it might be a small possibility, but I did see something along the lines of Morey saying that he did what he did in Houston to maximize the amount of productivity that he got from the stars he had. So I don't necessarily see him trading for one of them, but maybe sending someone over there. That could be a possibility. So maybe we'll see like an Embiid Harden in Houston, but I don't feel like we'll see it in Philly.
All right, Kevin, what's your take? You've been following all this. I know you're gonna have something great.
Oh, I am. First off, Daryl Morey, American hero, communist killer, statistician. Those are the three things I think of when I hear Daryl Morey's name.
Does it have anything to do with China?
Did you say it doesn't have anything to do with China?
I said, does this have anything to do with China?
No, I was just want to throw in that he's a communist killer. He's a cold
Okay.
warrior, just like Ronnie Reagan and JFK.
Okay.
But anyway, I think Daryl Morey is very good at understanding statistics. He kind of took what baseball's been doing with the A's for a while, the Red Sox. He took that. Yes, Moneyball, thank you. I was trying to remember what it was. And he kind of took it to basketball. I can see him doing something similar in Philly. He's going to get three-point shooters because that's what he likes to do. Now, yes, Joe, you mentioned he did what he did to maximize stars. Three-point shooting will maximize his stars here. I think trading Joel Embiid would be the biggest mistake this team ever made. It is tough to find a big man of this quality in the NBA. As everyone's going small, it's just going to get harder. Now, a big point guard who can play defense, pass, and play inside, that is also difficult to find, but not as difficult as a top 5 big man in the NBA today. I think if you could unload Embiid for a top 3 pick, which I don't think you can with the injuries, then yeah, unload him, draft Jamie Newman, see what happens. But Embiid's the bigger issue here. They also need to unload the horrible contracts Elton Brand gave out, ship Tobias Harris off to Siberia, ship Al Horford to, I don't even care where he goes, send him to Mexico City for all I care, and get three-point shooters around Embiid. If you really want to hold on to Simmons, then that's just one less three-point shooter. They need to run a system like Orlando ran when they had Dwight Howard. You surround him with shooters and let Embiid go to town in the paint.
So it's funny you bring up Tobias because the Knicks openly said they are looking to absorb contracts this year, to bring in veterans that they want to absorb contracts, which this is usually what the Knicks do every year, whether they're openly saying it or not. And so Tobias, his name has been brought up. I'm a Pistons fan, so when we lost Tobias and it's called Pope, both those guys, I thought they had a place in Detroit, but those max out contracts I'm glad we didn't make those moves. Tobias is still very, very serviceable. Even Caldwell Pope, but those guys to be maxed out and stuff like that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The process is done and over with. It failed. I'm glad. I'm not glad that it failed. I'm just tired of listening about it. They've kind of blown it up, at least front office, coaching staff. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the team. But it's funny. You talk about Moneyball and stuff like that, so we'll get right into, obviously, the Dodgers winning the World Series last night. We talk about Tampa Bay pretty much being the second coming of the Billy Bean and the Moneyball. I think the Dodgers had 5 players on their team that their entire salary was more than the entire Tampa Bay, or I guess I was going to say Devil Rays, Tampa Bay Rays, something like that.
Yeah.
And it still went to 6 games. It was a great pitching matchup. Pulled them early. Obviously, we see the Dodgers take it. Don't want to take anything from the Dodgers. Obviously, we'll get into the whole Justin Turner thing. It is what it is. But I guess Moneyball, analytics, is there a time and a place where you ride it? And is there a time and a place where you just got to say, okay, there's a guy on the mound that is just pitching fire. He's got 73 pitches right now. Do we ride him to the end with a 1-0 lead? I guess, Joe, what you thinking? I know, are you you're not a Dodgers fan, are you?
No, I'm a Sox fan. I'm everything Boston.
Oh yeah, that's
Celtics,
right.
Celtics, Bruins, Pats, all of it.
I asked Kevin the other night how he felt about Mookie, but either way, so.
Well.
So what? Okay, so yeah, even better. You see your boy Mookie win with the Dodgers. The whole analytics and things. Do you think obviously it's huge in baseball, like Kevin said, and some even going into the NBA. Is there a right time to say, hey, throw analytics out the window? Got 73 pitches, let this guy ride it to the end, or you got no horse in this race. I mean, what do you think about last night?
I think that there is a time and a place to throw analytics out the window, and I think it was with Blake Snell on the mound. He had the top of the order coming up. They were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. There's no reason why he should have been taken out. He only had 73 pitches. He was pitching a gem, and they took him out, and that's what did them in. And the manager is gonna ride this till he's done managing. It's gonna be that one black mark on his record.
Do you see with the payroll, the salary that Tampa Bay had, they're kind of the feel good story. Belly Up has adopted them as the America's team this year, right, Kevin?
No, yeah, buy a shirt.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you think with this roster, do you think it was a fluke, or do you think they can really make some noise next year, and depending what happens in a full season?
Well, obviously, like you said, full season, anything can happen now because this was just a year of uncanny happenings, to say the least. But I think that there is some strong possibilities. I think that whole really division, that top 3 is going to be a race because it's the Rays, the Sox, and the Yankees. The Sox are retooling and they were starting to look really good at the end of the season there. Obviously, it's a lot of hope that I'm putting in that basket, but
I was just gonna say, does it make you feel better you saying that?
Yeah, it does, but I will believe it until the wheels fall off. I'm riding this bus.
I'm a Tigers fan, so it doesn't matter.
But yeah, I mean, next year the Sox got Sale coming back. Erod might be coming back, so that division's just going to be a gunfight, to say the least. And the Rays are not going to sit there. They're not going to sit there and take it. They're done being at the bottom.
There you go. Shannon, what's your take last night? Obviously, Dodgers are winning it all. The whole Moneyball aspect in general. Are you a Sox fan then, obviously, too? So I love the fact that I'm talking to all Sox fans, and I watched Mookie win a championship last night with another team. So
salt in the wound.
Yeah, I've got a good friend that's a Dodgers fan, and he's been sending me Mookie articles and GIFs for days, just knowing that they were going deep in the playoffs, and Red Sox are just sitting here like I'm an idiot for not keeping him. But you bring up something interesting that I struggle with a lot, not only in baseball but in other sports as well. That does a team need a superstar or a household name to be successful? I don't think they do, but I've read a lot, particularly in baseball, that a team's not successful if they don't have a Bryce Harper, they don't have a Mookie Betts, they don't have someone that as soon as the team walks out on the field, everyone's like, oh, I'm excited to see this person. I don't think that's fair. I think the Rays were a very good team this year, and they don't have that. And it goes into other leagues too. In basketball, people underestimate teams just because they don't have a Karl Anthony Towns, a LeBron James, Joel Embiid, whatever. I don't think it has anything to do with the team's skill level just because you don't have one superstar and you've got a lot of good players that work well together.
Did you just put Cat and LeBron in the same sentence?
Well,
Jared would be loving this if you were here.
I was just gonna say that was yes, absolutely. but anyways, no, I agree with you, and it's funny you say that because I think Kevin and I have talked about this, and I think most people will talk about this. The MLB is the worst at marketing their franchise, their big name players. You see, obviously, the NBA, the NFL do great at it. The MLB is miserable at it. So maybe even in that perspective for the Rays, there was absolutely no, there was no pressure on them whatsoever. They just kind of skated in. They had a great pitching staff. They did what they needed to do. Like you said, they didn't have that big name. Granted, they had a Cy Young winner from 2-3 years ago, but he was getting back into form from that. That's a very good point. And like I said, to say the least, the MLB is really bad at that. So transitioning, Kevin, what you got here with the Dodgers?
First off, Blake Snell should not have a Cy Young. Chris Sale got robbed that year. Just want to point that out. That was bullshit. You're going to have your opening pitcher because they weren't running with starters that year. They weren't running with – you had an opener who would pitch like 3 innings and a bunch of relief pitchers. That was some bullshit. But which team do you want me to talk about?
The World Series champ that Mookie plays for.
Oh,
That was uncalled for.
Dodgers.
Fine, congrats. You guys beat a team with a payroll a fraction of yours. Like, it's great. Clayton Kershaw didn't choke for once. I'm proud of him. Clap, clap, clap. You didn't suck in the playoffs. People were saying, like, oh, the monkey's off his back. No, it's not. He sucked and choked every playoff before this. He's not a good playoff pitcher. He pitched well these playoffs. Those are 2 different things. Also, people need to stop with the Kobe comparisons. It's getting a little much. Oh, 3 times 2 is 6. And
I saw it.
the Dodgers won by 2. Add 2 to that 6 and you have 8, and that's for Kobe. No! Stop it. Get some help.
So I guess that's that.
I mean, I can talk more about how the Red Sox are just such a small market team they can't afford to pay their stars like last time.
We've touched on that. But while we have some time, I know this is a hot topic, obviously in today's news. Justin Turner, essentially 8th inning, or was it the 6th inning, something like that? They pulled him, said, "Hey, you've tested positive for COVID," which nobody really talked about this. How the MLB essentially, I don't know how this was, botched this. A guy plays, they get lab results later in the middle of the World Series to pull the guy, take him off the field. He wins the World Series. Granted, he's a free agent at this point. He can't. He was what was he with the Mets? He couldn't hit for the life of him. Goes to the Dodgers, lights it up. He deserves this title, but is it? I guess in a perfect world, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, that's stupid. But put yourself in the guy's shoes. The guy just won the World Series, was pulled off the field in the middle of the game, and nobody from the MLB tried to stop him. What's your guys' take on him going out celebrating, giving his wife a kiss on the lips? To me, before we get into it, at this point, you've played with your teammates all week. You've played with your teammates all game. You've been with your wife. Everybody's susceptible to what's going on. But what you guys think? Is this kind of a media overreaction? And do you think there's going to be a punishment maybe towards him or the Dodgers going forward? We'll go into Shannon here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was stupid for him to go out and do that. I actually didn't know about it until later and was surprised. But I don't think it's his fault. It's partially his fault, but I don't think it's entirely his fault. The MLB has absolutely botched how they've handled COVID, and they're not the only league. The NHL and the NBA were the only ones that did it successfully. The NFL is absolutely botching it. But if they had already set the precedent for the entire season that, like, yeah, we're setting these rules, but, you can work around them and there's ways to sneak around and get away with it. Like, I'm not surprised he did it. I'm not surprised that he was like, yeah, I just won the World Series. Like, screw my isolation, if that was the precedent set all season. The Marlins started the first outbreak because they went to a freaking bar when they were supposed to be at their hotel prepping for a game, and then they screwed up the schedule for like a month. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all based off of how it all was handled, and it's like trickling into the NFL now, and we're only in week 6. So,
Joe, what do you think? And at this point, are you hoping that Mookie gets it? No, I'm just joking about that. But what do you think about the whole Turner situation here?
As far as his kissing his wife and celebrating with his family, obviously they live together, so they're going to be susceptible no matter what. I don't think it negates the fact that he shouldn't have done it, but also at the same time, if I was to be completely honest, I can't 100% say that I would isolate if I won the World Series. You know what I mean? That's something as a professional athlete you dream about, being at the top, and if you're at the top, the season's over. He was wearing a mask for all the clips that the media showed anyway. He shouldn't have happened, but if the league's not going to stop him, it's not completely on him.
Absolutely. So Kevin, being that you are a Boston fan through and through, there's a good chance you may not ever see a championship in your lifetime from here on out. Put yourself in his shoes. Imagine if it was 30-some years and you haven't won a chip. How are you going to take it?
First off, Mike, you're a Detroit fan. You should not be talking.
Hey, maybe not football, but we've had our success the past 2000s. Okay.
Yeah, congrats. When was the last time the Tigers won a World Series?
Well, we made it, but I mean,
congrats. You want a medal?
So we
I gotta put up with
an
Jared
NBA
telling you,
championship. We won back-to-back Stanley Cups. We're going deep in the playoffs this year for the NFL with the Lions. After that great win against the Falcons.
Is the rest of the NFC getting COVID?
Are the Red Wings
at this
finished
point, they might as
32nd, I'm pretty sure, this year. Like last
Yeah,
or
and we
31st.
still screwed up the draft. We're rebuilding. We got Stevie Y. That's all that matters.
The year the Red
got
Wings get the number one pick and they don't even get the pick.
Yes. And but anyways, back to the question. Stop sidetracking me. Let's go.
Fine. There's one entity. One entity to blame for this. It's not Justin Turner. He just won his first ring. You cannot expect a man like that to go, well, I have COVID. I can't. So no, he's pumped. He had no symptoms. He's going to want to be out there with his team. Also, he just spent 8 innings with the guys and traveled with them. They've already been in contact.
If his test hadn't come back, why did he play in the first place? Why was he on the field?
That's the whole thing. I don't understand how the end would be.
Yeah,
you talk about botching it. I don't understand that. Yeah, they have rapid
the Dodgers.
testing.
The Dodgers aren't playing. What are they going to tackle the guy coming out of the isolation room, saying, "Hey, you just helped us win our first World Series in 32 years. You can't come out." No,
that's like the GM even said. He does. The GM right after the game legit said, "It is what it is." They're not going to stop the guy from doing it.
It's on Major League Baseball, and we've hammered this point home. Like Shannon said, why was he allowed to play if his test results haven't come back? I have a better question. Why the hell weren't his test results back yet?
Yeah.
Why were they testing him so late that it's not available for first pitch? Like Alabama, when Nick Saban was getting COVID tests, they flew the results to Mobile and back to get it in 40 minutes.
That is a waste of funding, but that's a separate issue.
Hey, a booster probably paid for it. Let's be honest. They have more money than God. But you're a major sports organization who pulls in billions of dollars a year, even during COVID. You can pay to have it flown to the testing center. I don't care if the testing center is across the street. Put it in a fucking helicopter, get it over there, and then get it back before first pitch. This shows a complete lack of preparation, precaution, and intelligence on Major League Baseball's part. And Rob Manfred has shown this year that he is a horrible commissioner.
Speaking of Rob Manfred, did anybody see the handing over of the trophy last night?
Corey, you thrilled our fans throughout the postseason with a great performance. You led the Dodgers to a World Series victory, and it's my pleasure to recognize your great play with the Willie Mays Most Valuable Player Award presented by Chevrolet.
I saw like bits and pieces. I wish I could put up the video right now while we're doing this. I know Kevin can do it, but that's the thing. Like, people didn't know if he was completely wasted, if he was having a stroke, or what was going on. It was unbelievable watching it, and I couldn't believe like what was going on before my eyes. But either way, we've hit our topics, so we're gonna get right into the sound off portion. That's why we call our show Belly Up Sound Off. We put the panel up. We give them the opportunity to sound off on anything that's going on. It doesn't have to be sports related. It can be anything that they're involved with, anything in general that they want to plug, or maybe even something that we've talked about they want to go a little deeper on. So, Kev, I will start off with you. I know you said you had some exciting plans, so I want to let's set the bar high. Let's set the bar high.
Actually, I'm going to ask Shannon. Shannon, what do you want to hear me talk about? Draft bus or Lane Kiffin? She already knows what my draft bus thing is.
Yeah, we got dinner before this, so I've gotten spoiler alerts here. I'm gonna say the draft bust.
Okay. So, a draft bust is someone who underperforms for whatever team drafted them. They might get traded, move on to somewhere else, but for that team, they're a draft bust. I'm talking Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Trent Richardson. I have a guy who beats all three of them. Bo Jackson is the biggest draft bust in NFL history. Number one overall pick. You're not going to play a snap for your team. I mean, what's Auburn even doing? They're just pumping out busts. You got Bo Jackson, JSA. They're just bad. Couldn't be my team. Also, Auburn should be 1-4. Also, listen to the Corner Booth podcast.
Oh, that was a great plug.
I just hate Auburn, man.
So,
not as much
couldn't tell one bit.
I was just saying. So for those that don't know, Kev is a Bama fan, graduated, and Shannon is a Auburn fan. Did you go to Auburn?
I'm a grad student there now.
There you go. So there is a little tension in between the two. So oh, look at that. Yes, I got one of those too. I
love that your blurry background is making it so I
blurring
can't
it out.
see your Alabama degree.
I mean, that's probably how much I work for it. Probably shouldn't even be a fan.
There you go. Anyway, so Shannon, we'll give you a chance to, if you want to throw a little rebuttal. Otherwise, we can hear your sound off here.
No, I don't really have a rebuttal to Kevin's clearly biased remarks. You know, we can just jump back to where he said that the top 3 picks for the Patriots should all be Alabama receivers. So
receivers, watching college football, I would name a receiver, a quarterback, and a running back.
Full offense right there.
And you think that your Alabama quarterback is going to be better than Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham?
Are we talking right now or Cam Newton at his peak?
No, right now. Fix the Patriots problem now.
Yes, 100%.
Mac Jones coming in, you think he just light the world on fire and win that starting job?
Yes, 100%. He's more accurate, can read a defense better, sets his feet, can throw a good deep ball.
Yeah, but against grown men. Like
and the
grown
Patriots
plays in
have
the SEC.
Tons of deep threats.
SEC offensive players out of the SEC are consistently asked, like, "Oh, how'd your first game go? Were you ready for it?" Like, yeah, I played this every Saturday in college. It's not a big deal. So yeah,
I feel like this train's getting derailed.
It's because Shannon's just mad that her quarterback's an absentee father.
No, I'm mad that you don't think. No, I'm gonna let it go. And my sound off is not related to college football. I think something that, as I watched the Lakers win their title, I was struggling with, and I've gotten in many debates with multiple people about it, but kind of a 2-part comment, but why do players go to sign with super teams? Why would you go and play under LeBron and Anthony Davis knowing that you weren't going to get any of the spotlight? And why do the NFL and the NBA specifically have multiple markets in big cities that attract players more than, say, Minnesota or Dallas or whatever? I'm kind of I know it's all a money game, but I'm trying to figure out why, in terms of fans and in terms of free agents, I know why it's occurring, but how Adam Silver can fix it or do anything about it to make it more balanced of a game. And I don't think I have an answer at the moment, but it's kind of what I'm thinking about after.
Kev, we can cut this clip, and she wants people to answer the question for her. Or not answer the question. What is going on? Why? That's because I don't have the damn answers. Hell, the NBA can't even fulfill the needs of the WNBA, so who knows about the small market teams and stuff like that. But,
I have a way to fix the problem.
Lower
the salary cap. Make players choose if they want to win a ring with LeBron for the league minimum, or make $10 million playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Problem solved. If you don't have the money under the cap to pay all these guys, they won't play for them.
I know that's what's funny about the NBA's like these max contracts and how you can get a max contract from 5 different teams that are all 5 different salaries. So that's what's funny about it. But before we head out, Joe, what you got to end the show here?
I don't really have anything to sound off on. Just the fact that the NBA Players Association responded to the offer made up. Well, not exactly an offer made up by the NBA of a December 22nd start as a possibility. I wrote an article on that, so if you want to get my opinion on it, it's on bellyupsports.com. Other than that, go Celtics, go Sox, Bees and Pats.
Jeez, oh Pete, it's getting deep in here. So I don't have anything. I was just gonna end it there. But at this point, let's quickly talk about how great the Detroit sports professional teams are. At least have been in my lifetime.
Did you turn your clock back too far?
Granted,
No, he's just old.
Since Barry Sanders has left the Detroit Lions, there's never been any kind of relevancy, and we've ruined everybody's career. But I am thankful for the Detroit Red Wings, the great team. I know Shannon talked about it earlier. Of you had Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. Those are not. I mean, maybe they're household names, but they're not your big three per se. They all made the All-Star team, so that was like the coming of the age of what she was talking about, not having that one huge star. Then, I'll talk about the Tigers. We made the World Series. We didn't win it. We made it, but, I'm sure if you check out our website, there are some articles about Boston being wasted and no longer having the opportunity. There is a good opportunity that we may never see a championship in our lifetime. So those spoiled brats when you guys were...
money the Red Sox will pay once revenue dips, like, oh shit, we didn't sell at Fenway. Let's
I
go
thought
drop
you were
$100 million.
small market. I thought that was small market.
Well, I'm assuming we're going to sell the team.
Oh yes.
To a guy who's not concerned about his newspaper or his NASCAR or his soccer team.
I mean, if we're never going to see a championship in the next 30 years, it's going to be from the NFC East in the NFL. We're all going to die before any of them gets above 500 records. So that's
the bad thing too. Yes,
in
with
NBA.
With the wild card and everything being expanded, it's going to be crazy to see that division and what the division winner record looks like once it comes to. So, that's about it.
I mean, do you think that the NFC East? Do you think that the playoff system right now is fair and that the NFC East is right to make the playoffs even though they've got such a bad record, or should it do something like the NBA where they just rank by AFC and NFC?
I think honestly, I like the divisional things because you think well check out our NFL Twitter. I'm sure Kevin tweeted that earlier today, but
I may have tweeted about it.
Yes, but in general, I think it's hard because it's like fantasy football too. Like you get into these divisions and you think you got to take your top divisional leader, but then you have a season. But how often? I guess maybe I should ask you this. I guess the past couple of years you talked about the NFC, not you, but the NFC North was kind of shit last year. Outside of Green Bay running through it towards the end, it seems like every year the past couple of years you have these divisions that are kind of down. Somebody squeaks out. So to me, I do like somebody coming out of the division regardless of record, because I think when the playoffs start, it's a clean slate. It starts over. It doesn't matter. But it would be interesting to see, based off the NBA standards and how things work, to see something like that. But I can't see the NFL changing.
I would also like to point out that the last two sub 500 playoff teams, the Panthers went 7-8-1, and the Seahawks went 7-9 with Matt Hasselbeck, who went to the same high school as me. They both won their first playoff games those years.
So underprepared coincidence?
Yeah, true.
But
so you're telling me that the Washington football team is about to make the playoffs and go for a Super Bowl?
No, I didn't say go to a Super Bowl. I just said they might win their first game. Depends who they play. I don't know what the matchup
very
would
well
be.
Could. Jets, we're probably not talking about anytime soon. So Yes, at this point, I appreciate you guys joining us. Shannon, Joe, Kev, I'm stuck with all the time. So it was nice to get some new faces on here. That's what we plan on doing week in and week out, grabbing some extras from Belly Up that are willing to put their mug on camera with us. So again, I appreciate it. On behalf of myself, Kevin, the corner booth, Joe, Shannon. I know you guys don't got specific shows, but check out the website, bellyupsports.com, Belly Up Fantasy. I know Shannon has been releasing some OBJ. You guys want to see some OBJ news, some articles, check that stuff out going on right now. Both websites, a lot of content pumping out. But in general, we appreciate you guys viewing, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and next week, like our video, it's going to be obviously sponsored by Hoff and Pepper. We're going to pick a winner there to give you a sauce package, I guess is what we want to call it. So I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Thanks for joining me.
Put Ben Wallace in the Hall of Fame.